Hello, this is Solomon Evarist, and welcome to the Real Estate Talk Show with Solomon Evarist. Today, we'll be discussing the common house types in Lagos and how you, as an investor, can maximize profits or build cash flow from them. The common house types in Lagos. It's not enough to be an investor, it's not enough to say, oh, I have a plot of land somewhere and I want to build a home, or I have plots of land in a place in Nigeria or anywhere in the world and I want to build this type of home. You need to understand the type of home that is the trend, that is part of the community, that people that will appeal to people, that will appeal to to other persons who want to use these apartments, right, or these house types. So this conversation will be about the very common house types, residential structures that you can consider in your plans to build or to develop. And why is this conversation very important? A lot of times when I move to houses or when I inspect properties, I see that investors are losing touch or not in touch with the reality. You see people building something that is not needed, and that is why you have lots of homes that are not usable or livable. A lot of homes, you're building homes or you're building houses, but people cannot buy them, people cannot rent them because you're not building what people want. It is very important as an investor to maximize your turnaround for cash flow and your return on investment to build what people want to buy or what people want to live in as a home, as a structure. This conversation too will cut across where you can build a certain type of house, the type of house you can invest in, and how you can maximize profits from all of this. I will be using the very local parlance to describe these house types. I'm not going to be using the technical, professional language or register to describe them. I will be using the common description that we know them for here in Nigeria or the typical Lagos setting, urban setting. Now let's go into this conversation. Talking about common house types to build as an investor where you can maximize cash flow, create wealth for yourself. Number one on my list is a bungalow house type. This is a very common type in Nigeria and in Lagos too. A bungalow house type is a structure that is just a ground floor with a roof on it. Just a ground floor with a roof on it. It can come in a bedroom bungalow, a one bedroom bungalow. It can be a two bedroom bungalow. It can be three bedroom. It can be four. I've seen six bedroom bungalows standard. Now, what is common about this house type? It is simple to build. In a time frame of about 6 months or even less, and even in a month, you can get a bungalow standing, especially with the technology that we have today, where you can fabricate homes in less than 7 days. It is simple to build, it is simple to maintain, and it does not take much space. So if you're considering a simple budget, a retirement home, or you just want to have a home without floors, additional floors, especially for aged people, you want to consider a bungalow. Most times people build bungalows because of their budget. So if your budget is small for a house, you can have yourself a bungalow. Or mind you, if you're living in a particular part of town that is urbanized, you don't want to build a bungalow if you're considering that as an investor, right? Now, the fact is that we're running out of land space. There is shortage of land space within the urban settlement or the urban areas. So you cannot even afford to buy land within the town area and build a bungalow because of the cost of land. So this type of house is actually defacing or leaving the market, especially around the urban areas. You can only build this within the outskirts of town or developing areas, new emerging areas where land is still affordable. Bungalow is still a thing and it is good. It is good business for investors who want to build low cost housing. So if you're considering low cost housing, then bungalow house type is for you. Simple to build, simple to maintain, simple to deliver, even as a real estate developer investor. And also as an investor who wants to buy units of bungalows. We've done a lot of projects and we've seen a lot of real estate projects around the bungalow system or house type that has been delivered in less than 6 months. Yes, and a lot of investors like it because it's easier to pay for, it is more affordable than the other house type. So considering bungalow can help you get your money faster because you get to buy and then you can sell quickly, you can rent it out quickly. It is in high demand because of its nature, its simplicity, and then all that it offers to both investors and then people who want a home. Talking about retirement persons or people that are aged, because of the simplicity, a lot of people find comfort for having a lot of people find comfort in bungalows because they don't have to climb stairs, they don't have to use up floors and all of that. Everything is within their range, within the ground floor space. A bungalow can sit on a 500 square meter, a bungalow can sit on a 300 square meter, a bungalow can sit on a 250 square meter. It is one of the most affordable house types in Nigeria and one that you can consider as an investor. Number two on my list is what I call the Mac house type. M for mini flats, A for apartments, and C for condominium. The Mac house type are similar in nature but different in functionality. The mini flat is a block of apartments where you have unit apartments that can come in the number of one bedroom, two bedroom, three bedroom mini flat. In a mini flat, all the rooms come all en suite. What it means is that every room is independent of the other. However, they share common living room, which we call parlor or sitting room, and then a kitchen. It could also have a space for a guest toilet for your visitors. It can come as one bedroom flat, two bedroom, three bedroom mini flat. Then for an apartment is same with a mini flat. The only difference is that in the mini flat you have all the rooms in suite, but in an apartment you could only have the master bedroom in suite and the other rooms sharing the visitor's toilet or sharing one toilet and one bathroom. Then it comes with its own parlor or sitting room and then a kitchen space. A condominium, on the other hand, is just about the name. It is an apartment that you can own within units of apartment. An apartment that is purely for house owners. A condominium is simply a mini flat that you own in a stack of apartment. You can choose to resell, you can choose to rent on your own. It is more private. Yeah, there are blocks of apartments where developers build and sell apartments to only those who want to live in it as owners, right? So you see more of these within the developed areas. However, they share similarities, but the distinction is between the mini flat itself, the condominium, and the apartments. While in the mini flats and condominium, the rooms can exist separately from each other, call what we come in the form of what we call all en suite. In apartments, there could be shared common spaces like the guest toilets and bathroom, which is very important to note. However, investors maximize these Mac house types for profit, for what we call multi-family apartment or multi-family cash flow. If you have this type of apartments, these are apartments you can buy in units, one unit, two units, 3, 10, 4, 15, and so on. When you buy them and you put them out for rent, you get your cash flow. Now, just like land banking, we always advise investors who want to go into the Mac house types to buy multiple units. In 2019, we sold an apartment project offline that sold for 6.5 million per unit. Some investors kidding, they bought in six, some bought 6 units, some 12 units, some 2 units. Guess what? Today, in today's market, those apartments are going for about 25, 30 million, and the rental value is on 1.5 million naira for 2 bedroom of that. So the idea of the mini flats and the apartment is around investors who want to own units of usable living space. It can be 2 bedroom, it can be 1 bedroom, it can be 3 bedroom. The choice is yours. Now, what do you consider when you're buying apartments? Cash flow. Cash flow. If you have a bulk sum, I always relate this within my investors meeting where we say if you have a cash flow or an investment, a cash of about 100 million to build or to invest in real estate, instead of putting that bulk sum in one asset, in one structure, you can split that over a portfolio of apartments. And you don't have to have all the apartments in one building. You could have them in different projects scattered around town. You have 10 apartments in different strategic projects in town, and then you make different cash flow from them and you build your wealth. I've seen investors who have been able to use this system to create wealth for themselves. I've seen investors who have plans to have own their own homes in, let's say, 3 years time. And what we do is we get the money that they have now, invest in apartments that can give them cash flow, some of them that they can resell, like a project in Ikate where we sold for about 45 million in 2020, and then investors had to resell in 2022 for about 80 million, 100 million, and that apartment is going for 120 million. So for those of them who bought, or investors who bought these apartments, the condominium, the mini flats, and so on, at the rate of 40 million per apartment. Some bought three, some bought four. They have been able to resell. Some are reselling all, while some are reselling a part of it to put the other in rental. So in this kind of investment scheme or house type, you can make money when you resell, when it appreciates. The house type, the mark house type, has the potential of creating you wealth from different sources. It opens your portfolio and minimizes risk. You have cash flow designed from different part of town. Now, the thing also about the multi-apartment investment or multi-family cash flow investment house type is that you can have functionality considered in the equation. If a particular part of town where you have your apartment is not functional, not selling, not livable at the time, the other part can be livable. So at no time will you have a ceased flow of income. You will have income flowing in. If you don't have 100% turnaround time or 100% active income flow time, you could have cash flow coming from this time or from this part of the apartment or the other part of the apartment. That way, it keeps you on a steady cash flow. You don't put your money in a spot, you spread it. It gives you that advantage. So you can consider investing in a project that offers you the choice to own condominiums, to own apartments, to own flats. And if you have a piece of land and you're considering building, I always advise investors, if you must build an apartment, please, you have to look at what people want to buy or live in that particular space. Mini flat is the trend. People want to live in a home where all the rooms are all in suites. So you could have the master room all in suite, you could have the madam's room all in suite, you can have the children's room all in suite. All the apartments independent of each other, and then a guest toilet for your guests. You don't want your guests going into any of your internal rooms or inner rooms to use loo, right? You want to have a separate loo for your guests to make use of. Now, some people go as far as putting the guest toilet outside. It can come in that form. Two-bedroom apartments are one of the most selling in terms of mini flats, apartments, and condominium. You have two-bedroom apartments selling faster than the others. Three-bedroom apartment is a matter of size. When the family size or utility is large, a lot of people want to dive into the three-bedroom apartment. But the two-bedroom gives people the option to manage themselves and their payment. However, because of the high demand of two-bedroom in the market, we have two-bedroom apartments becoming more expensive than three-bedroom. So that is the investment sense there. When you see a lot of people building two-bedroom apartments, it is also because of the cost, because of the income value for two-bedroom. Two-bedroom can be said to be more valuable in the market. It has higher demand, it is more expensive. Sometimes within an apartment project, the difference in the rental value of two-bedroom and three-bedroom are usually not far apart. It could be an extra 200,000, 300,000, and so on. So this is the reason why people are building two-bedroom. You must understand why people build certain things. Even in a block of apartments, why do you have more two-bedroom than three-bedroom? If you put up a project of two and three-bedroom, the two-bedroom sells faster. Then for the one-bedroom, you could have one-bedroom apartment in areas where housing or residential projects are expensive in terms of rental value and sales value. In that way, you have a lot of young people who want to minimize themselves, put themselves in a workable, usable space. You have lots of people who are single and who are out there striving. They would rather want to go for a one-bedroom apartment and then increase their space as they progress in their economic gains and their family planning. One bedroom too is very functional. The idea about the mark house type is about functionality. It is about also about maintenance. People can afford them People can maintain them more than any other house type. Now, this is not me saying that it is the best, but you'll find it to be more functional in our today's modern system or modern society. So the mini flats, the apartments, and condominiums sell very fast because they offer the option of affordability, they offer the option of simple maintenance, they offer the option of usable space that can be put to use at every given time. Even when you have people moving out of the apartment, you have somebody who is looking for that apartment space. Let's talk about the other house types. Number three on my list is the studio apartment house type. The studio apartment exists in block of flats. The same way you have blocks of apartments, block of mini flats, you have blocks of apartments too containing studio apartment. Now, what defines a studio apartment? A studio apartment is an all-inclusive house type where you have one bedroom apartment space sharing a living space, kitchen, toilet, and bathroom all in one space. Of course, the toilet will be demarcated, but you have your open plan kitchen, your living space, and then where you can have your bedroom settings all in one. We have this kind of settings around where you have citadels of learning, universities, where you have job opportunities for young people. That is where you have more of this investment on studio apartment. A studio apartment can also come attached in a project where you have mini flats, where you have two-bedroom apartments, three-bedroom apartments, or mini flats. A studio apartment offers more flexibility for young people, for millennials, for single guys, single ladies who want to work and live in certain places. It offers the option of affordability compared to owning a mini flat with all of the luxury that a mini flat offers. But the studio apartment is just about a mind that wants to make a living for themselves. They don't care about the functional space and luxurious space. They just want a very livable space that is functional, that pays the attention, that provides the kind of comfort that they need at the time. So studio apartments sells very fast in a place where you have very young people who are working, where you have students. The studio apartment also commands attention for investors who want to invest in that house type. We've seen a lot of structures within the Lekki category. We all know that Lekki is very pricey when it comes to apartment rentals. A lot of persons who are working class who cannot afford mini flats go for studio apartments because it fits into their budget, at least at the time being, while they plan themselves. You could be considering studio apartment investment to be good. If you cannot put your hands on mini flats because of the price, for example, we have a project in Ikatetu where we had mini flats selling for 55 million, 60 million, 70 million, but the studio apartments were going for as low as 20 million naira. For investors who could not fit into the budget for the two-bedroom, three-bedroom, or even one-bedroom mini flat, the studio apartment offered an option for them at least to have a taste of the market. The studio apartment too is very functional and it is one of the fast-selling or fastest-selling apartment type out there, especially within the urban settings where things are very pricey. For persons who cannot afford the luxury of a bigger space, they just want a touch-based space. It could also be used for what we call short-let apartments. It can also be used for short-term rentals and all of that. The studio apartment offers all of those options for you as an investor. If you cannot do the Mac house type, you want to also consider the studio apartment house type. The rental value is also good. If you're buying a studio apartment for 20 million naira, you could have a rental value for 1.5 million in a place where mini flats rent for as low as 3.5 million. You're still making money, you're still getting cash flow. How can you take advantage of the studio apartment? Multiple units. So where you see projects with apartment types where your hands cannot get to the mini flats, if you cannot build or if you cannot afford a portfolio of maybe 2 units or 10 units of two-bedroom, 5 units of three-bedroom, you could do more units of the studio apartment. You could do 20 units of studio apartment. You could do 5 units of studio apartment. For the amount you will get lesser units for the two-bedroom or three-bedroom. The studio apartment offers good turnaround time. and it is well usable. It's a usable space that you don't want to miss out. If you're investing in apartments, you want to have a couple of these apartments in your list of investment portfolio. Now, you must understand that a studio apartment exists within a block of flats. So you could find it at par or side by side within the same block where you have apartments, condominium, and all of that. The difference here is that it is an all-inclusive house type that offers everything within an open space. Let's talk about the next house type. Number four on my list is a duplex. The duplex is a home type that comes with the ground floor and the top floor. The duplex is a home type too that is independent on its entirety. Talk about the compound space. You're independent of your compound space. You're independent of your gatehouse. You're independent of the main house, both the ground floor, the top floors. It could be 2 stories, 3 stories, 1 story duplex. Your ground floor and your top floors. It has a staircase inside of it, and it provides all of the comfort that you need. Talk about privacy, talk about security, talk about your independence as a house owner. Now, as an investor, you can consider this house type in the primary market. You can buy it in the primary market to resell, or you can build. You hire a contractor or an engineer to build for you, then you can sell. Now, this type of house type also offers a range of income for rental value or rental income investment opportunity as an investor. However, I will always advise investors, I advise my investors who want to invest in duplexes to buy and resell. Buy and resell. You can also consider rental. Now, the pros and the cons of renting or developing, buying a duplex for rental is that it does not sell as fast as the other house types. You just have to target the rich, the wealthy class. It must be one wealthy person who is ready to afford that sum of money, that huge sum of money for one rental property. Now, in the investment space, we always say that it is better to put your rental portfolio around, to build your rental portfolio around the apartment. It is easier to sell because of the price. Now, for a duplex, it costs a lot to maintain a duplex. So whoever will be renting a duplex will be somebody who has what it takes to maintain it. It is not just about the rental, it is also about ownership to maintain. And that is why we had to advise, or that is why I always advise my clients to buy in order to resell. If you must do rental, then you must be building it in an exceptional community area where top executives will be willing to rent out a duplex. Now, it is not just owning a duplex is not just targeted for people who want to rent. It could also be targeted for persons who want to invest in or build their portfolio around what we call short-let apartments, which is a thing now. You could have a short-let apartment in a duplex in a place like Lekki, Victoria Island, Ikoyi, where companies can rent out within a period of time. It could be 2 weeks for their retreat, it could be for a month, and also big families, large-sized families coming into the country can rent a duplex for their use within their stay in Nigeria. Now, that is the thing. A lot of investors who have their duplexes and they are not selling will rather want to put it out for rental use because they make more money, and it's also easier for them to maintain because they get the money on the spot from the short let and they can maintain it. They close their doors when it is not in use, but they make sure that they maintain at their own pace. If you're invested in a duplex, then you have to consider any of these opportunities. Either you're renting out to the rich and wealthy class, or you're putting it out for the short let business where you have business persons or rich family who want to come to the country and then spend quality time. Short-let in a duplex space, especially for large size families. It's easier for you to make your money to maintain and only open up your duplex where you have people who can afford it and who can put it to good use. You could have a duplex as a buy and sell as an investor. You can have a duplex as a buy to rent, but it must be within a class or the middle class. It has to be designed for the rich, for people who can afford to buy or rent it and maintain it. You don't want to build a duplex for rent in a place where the income cannot sustain it. You cannot be building a duplex in a community area where rich will not live in, where the wealthy class will not move in. You want to build a duplex in a place where you have other duplexes and where you have people who can afford it, because affording a duplex is not just about paying for the rent, What about the maintenance? The duplex gives you that total independence, it gives you that total luxury, that total comfort, it gives you that comfort, that privacy, that serenity. But you have to be a person who can maintain it. As an investor, you can buy it to sell, you can buy it to rent. If you must rent or lease, it has to be to persons who can afford to rent and who can afford to maintain that space. We have a subcategory of the duplex house type. Talk about the fully detached duplex, which is an independent duplex that comes with all of the privacy, that comes with all of the compound space, that comes with the independence in the structure, the ground floor, the other floors, the rooms come all in suite. You could have 5 rooms, you could have 7 rooms, you could have 2 kitchens, you could have 2 living space, the 2 sitting rooms, and all of that. Then you can also have a duplex in the form of a semi-detached. A semi-detached is a kind of duplex that is twin in nature, where you have 2 duplexes attached together, sharing common walls, but facing opposite direction. They have their privacy, they have their independence, they have their sizes and number of rooms. They could have it's the same thing that a fully detached house, but the distinction here is that they share a common wall. They share a common wall. It is easier to maintain. As an investor, you could build 2 duplexes as semi-detached in a space where you had planned to build one. You can stay in one and then sell the other. You can stay in one and rent the other. You can sell one and rent the other. So the options are there for you, but it has to be within a community where people can afford to live in it. The mistakes that I've seen investors make is that they want to build a duplex in a remote location. They want to build a duplex in a place because of affordability. They want to build a duplex in a place where people would not want to go to, where rich people. So before you build a duplex or invest in a duplex for rental or to resell, you have to consider the people who will live in it. The persons who can afford a duplex, whether for rent or for outright purchase, will be people who want to live in a particular class, within a particular class of community. You have to consider location before you invest in a duplex. It has to be the place where people want to live in. A duplex within a place where people would not enjoy the environment will not make you money. But if you have a duplex in a community that has class, that has security, that also breeds wealth and opulence, then you'll be making yourself a good deal to own that. Another type of duplex is a terrace duplex. Unlike the semi-detached where you have 2 twin duplexes sharing one wall, for the terrace duplex, it's about multiple duplexes joined together, 2 or more. We're talking about 3 units, 4 units, 5 units, and up to 10 units, and even more, depending on how much is approved by the building regulators, right? So you could have more units of duplexes stacked together, sharing a common space. Why their independence will be on the interior, more of the interior, on the exterior, there is a shared common space. You'll be sharing common spaces with your other neighbors, with the other unit owners. For terraces, it affords investors the opportunity to have duplexes that are more affordable, that they can put for rental, that they can put for sale. Terrace duplexes are becoming increasingly in demand, whether it is because it offers an opportunity for investors or because millennials, young rich people, are actually requesting for this house type, this country house type. Yeah, so whatever it answers to, the important thing here is that terrace will sell more for you as an investor. We have lots of investors who are putting their money on terraces for rental because we have a growing rich population that can afford these type of houses or this house type. It gives them that enjoyment, that it gives them that class feeling. It gives them that opportunity to enjoy the feel of a duplex when they are inside their space. But on the outside, you share common spaces with other persons. It's like owning an apartment. The terrace also offers great opportunity for investors who are looking at expanding their use for their land space because we have shortage of land within the urban centers and we have fewer people who can afford to buy full duplexes or mansions. People or developers and even investors consider the option of breaking down their development into smaller units in the form of terraces. Terraces gives you that feeling of luxury and class, and that is why in the urban areas where you have a class, you want to build a terrace. It gives people the feeling of living in a duplex while they live within a community where you have townhouses called terraces. A terrace is a great buy, it's a great deal right now, especially in Lagos. So if you're considering buying a terrace or building or investing in a terrace, you have to consider areas within Victoria Island to Lekki Phase 1 downward to Ajah. It offers an affordable range for buyers and then a great opportunities for investors, because the price you would want to price or put up on a single unit duplex and then expect one person to buy within a long period of time, if you break that project into a terrace at a lower cost or lower price, you have more people buying into it, and you will be able to sell off your terrace or rent out your terrace within a short period of time. It gives people that class, it gives people that feeling of living in a duplex while they have shared space. So it's a great investment opportunity within this house type. A duplex itself defines all of this category of a semi-detached, of a terrace, and a fully detached duplex. Whether it's a fully detached, a terrace, or semi-detached, you can buy to resell, you can buy to rent, you can buy for short lets, you can buy for cash flow. You can buy for cash flow. You can build your cash flow around this house type, but you have to consider the location. If you must invest in a duplex, if you must invest in a semi-detached or terrace, it has to be in a community where the lifestyle and the environment will support the kind of people who can afford to buy or rent them. Location is very important. You don't want to build a duplex or a terrace in a community that does not support that kind of lifestyle. People want a duplex where there is lifestyle. It also puts value to your property as a duplex. If you must invest in duplexes and projects like terraces, semi-detached, you should do so, please, in areas where the lifestyle is part of it. When people pay for this, they're also paying for the lifestyle, they're paying for the environment, they're paying for the class. This will help you in making that decision while you consider investing within the duplex. Number 5 on my list, maisonettes. If you understand the concept of the terrace, the semi-detached, and the fully detached duplex, then the maisonette is as simple for you to understand. A maisonette is simply duplex, a stack of duplexes. Okay, when you have duplexes or terraces stacked on each other in the form of a block of apartment, you could have masonettes coexist in a block of apartment where you have mini flats and studio. The same way you have studio apartments of a bedroom studio apartment within a class of 2-bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom apartment, is the same way you have mini flats. You have masonettes. Masonettes are a stack of duplexes. Common and very popular masonettes within the Lagos axis is that of 1004, the popular 1004 in Victoria Island. You have Bloom's Heavens Tower, you have the Camberwell Advantage series with masonettes. The class of people who are looking for masonettes are people who want to live within the luxury community where they cannot afford a fully detached duplex. So it becomes a thing about price. People enjoy the interior feel of a duplex, but they live in a shared space within a block of apartment. Masonettes exist within class. It's a class thing. So for persons who want to live in a duplex, but they cannot afford a duplex, they can also maybe look at or consider the option of masonry. So investors are looking in that angle because it fits into a certain class of people in the society. However, if you must build a masonry, it has to be within a place where the lifestyle supports the kind of people who can afford it. Masonry provides a great opportunity for rental, for short let, and also where you as a person can live in with your family. The only disadvantage here or the cons here is that you share common space with everybody. You could have masonets all in an apartment, block of apartment, or you could have masonets mixed with other house types like a studio apartment, a mini flat, a condominium, and all of that. But it's a great deal for investors. It's a great opportunity for people who want to live within the upper echelon class of the society. So masonets are mostly within the class, within the community where you have wealthy people. Banana Island, Victoria Island, Lekki Phase 1, and so on. It's a great investment opportunity for investors considering that house type. Now, with all of these ranges or house types, you can see that you could have a touch of all of them in your portfolio. They fit into different class of people. If you're an investor who want to have all of these varieties, you could have them in your portfolio and make all of the money from this class of opportunity or categories of house type. Let's look at the next house type we have on our list. The next on my list is the penthouse. The penthouse is used to describe an attachment building or apartment on top of the main building. The penthouse can be seen in a mansion, in a fully detached duplex, within block of apartments, the last floor of blocks of apartments. And today we have penthouses attached to bungalows. So if you have a house with an extra apartment at the top, you can consider that to be a penthouse. We have penthouse bungalows or bungalows with penthouse. We have terraces with penthouse. We have duplexes, fully detached or semi-detached with penthouse. For the rich who can afford it to have an extra space, some are hidden within a high roof, while some are on plain sight on the last floor of the house, and then some come with an extra terrace where you could have an open sit out. It is mostly positioned around where you have the master's bedroom. It could also be the master's bedroom itself in a project. But mostly, people use penthouse to describe mansions with extra building at the top. We're talking about the big homes, the large homes worth millions of naira. If you must invest in this category of houses, then it has to be within the rich class, within the rich community. Lifestyle has to support it. You're talking about the Arcadia Grove of this world. You're talking about the Atlantic, Victoria Island, Banana Island, within the Lekki Phase 1 axis, within the center of the lifestyle. Ikeja, the Maryland, Lagos, where you have the Magoro Phase 1, Phase 2, and all of those classic community, living community. If you must invest in this type of house type, in this house type, it has to be in a place where the rich wants to live in, where the rich want to play in. That way, it gives more value to the house. You don't want to invest in a penthouse within a community where the lifestyle does not support it. The same goes for a duplex, the same goes for all the categories of duplexes and all that. You want to build a project of this magnitude for the rich in a community that supports a wealthy lifestyle. That is how you put value to it. And most of these projects, penthouse projects or mansion projects, are mostly for individuals who want to live in this space. Well, you could rent it out. However, you'll be finding more of persons who want to own them than rent them, considering the cost of rental. So, what do you think? Do you have a mansion that you want to rent, or would you rather sell it to somebody who can maintain it, and then you take the money and put it somewhere else? So that is what investors do. Investors buy mansions, they develop mansions, and they sell to the very rich of the society. But the cost there is you must build it within a community that supports that lifestyle, that supports everything, the utility that is needed for that kind of community. That is where you get value for mansions with penthouses and all of that. You can develop to sell, you can buy to sell, you can buy for your own personal use. You have to consider the functionality, you have to consider the maintenance, you have to consider utility, you also have to consider security for this particular house type. Let's look at the next one and the last one. The next on my list is the Maisonette duplex. A Maisonette duplex is a house type you find within an expensive community where people want to have the feel of a duplex but in a minimalist space. A Maisonette duplex has a feeling of a studio apartment where you have an open floor plan, you have your sitting room, you have your master's bedroom all in suite, you have your kitchen all in a space. Now, for a Maisonette duplex, you have a feeling of a studio apartment. However, your master bedroom is upstairs. So you can imagine a one bedroom duplex that is a studio apartment. You have your living room, your kitchen downstairs, and then your master bedroom all in suite upstairs, taking up 50% or 40% of the ground space upward. You have a staircase that takes you up there. You'll find this in an environment where people who cannot afford a duplex or who cannot afford multiple apartments or can afford a luxury apartment without feel of a duplex but in a very minimalist space. And this is a common trend within the rich class or within the lovely communities that are a bit pricey, right? Now, all of these house types are geared towards demand, functionality, and what people can pay in the market. Now, in a place like Lagos, you see people look for a house type based on how they feel, based on the project they are working on, based on the class or the level they are in the society. For rich young people, they go for something that offers them functionality and that is easy to maintain, and that has broadened the architectural value, the architectural functionality within the city space, where talented architects are bringing good housing structures that fit into the feel, the way people feel and think about their space. So you'll be seeing a lot of these house types, and I'm sure that we're going to evolve into different type of house type in the future because we have more tests, we have more young people who have better idea or image of what their dream home will look like and what they want their dream homes to be like. Investors are in the lookout for these kind of opportunities. They're in the lookout to leverage on the talent of architects and developers to build homes that people will enjoy to live in. We have these varieties and they offer their range of cash flow for investors. Understanding this house type will help you make a better decision as an investor, and you have to work with data. It gives you the opportunity to work with data. We have this and it works. It works. It offers that functionality and it also offers the affordability in its own class. A masonette duplex is very common within communities that offers opulence and luxury. There are persons who may not be able to afford duplex in certain communities, but the option of a masonette duplex, which is like a studio duplex apartment, gives some persons that sense of belonging. Yeah, and considering the price, it is very functional and it is something that a lot of people who can afford it will enjoy to utilize as a living space. Now that you understand the common house types that you can have as an investor or invest in Lagos, Nigeria, let's talk about where you can build them. I know from the conversation you're probably thinking, oh, all of these house types, do we really have a place where we can build them, where we can buy them now? Considering the fact that they're all looking as if it must be in the highbrow part of town. No, there is a house type for different areas. Consider the bungalow, which is very affordable, which falls within what we can call low-cost housing projects. You can build a bungalow within an emerging city area, within an area that is under development or undergoing development. Yeah, where land is still affordable, you can play around with investment on bungalows. You can build bungalows anywhere, but very well, you as an investor will not want to build a bungalow of just a ground floor in a place where the land is very expensive. You have to look at the cost of land in making that decision of what to build because you're an investor. If you're building for your private use, then you can play with any land anywhere. But if you have a land within a choice location, you have to be intentional with your choice of building and choice of what you're buying from a developer. If you must build a high rise of apartments, it can be anywhere. You can build a high rise of apartments anywhere in town, or you have to consider those who will be living there. What kind of finishing will you be putting in there? The finishing will make the difference in terms of apartments, whether mini flats, condominium, or apartments. You can build an apartment in a developing part of town. You can build in a very developed part of town. You can build apartments in a highbrow. We have apartments in Banana Island, Eco Atlantic City, Victoria Island, Lekki, Aja, Shangotedu, Awoyaya, Leko, and even in Ekpe. But the difference here, the distinction is on the finishing, the cost of finishing, and the level of service that these apartments will get. You want to build an apartment complex within VI Lekki Phase 1, the Banana Island part of Lagos and all of that, then you have to consider top-notch finishing and good service. Good service maintenance will go a long way to add more value to it. But if you want to build a regular apartment, you can invest in that in areas like Aja, Shangotedu, and so on. Now, pretty much see what investors do these days. A lot of people are looking at apartments that they can maintain, where they can bring in services to make life better. They put in partial services and full service. It depends on what you want and what your target is as an investor. You also want to consider these things. Apartments can be built anywhere, but what you do and how you finish the apartment with will determine who you're targeting. So you can build apartments anywhere, just like bungalows. However, when it comes to the duplex, when it comes to the special house types, where you have the maisonette, where you have the terrace duplex, the fully detached duplexes, where you have the maisonette duplex, and so on, it has to be within a community that supports the lifestyle of the wealthy people that will live in those homes, considering their rental value, considering their sales value. For example, you're renting a two-bedroom apartment or two-bedroom duplex within Banana Island. You're looking at about 15 million naira for two-bedroom apartments. You're looking at about 15 million naira to 20 million for apartments and duplexes. In Victoria Island, the same thing. And then places like Lekki Phase 1 downward, you have apartments and duplexes going for 10 million or 15 million. You have apartments going for 8 million, 5.5, and so on. So when you consider the price, then you also have to factor in what you're building and where you're building. If you must build duplexes, it has to be in a place where the class supports that kind of expenses, where people will want to pay for that amount. You don't want to build a duplex or any of these specialized house types in a place where wealthy people will not go to. If it must be in an isolated place, like projects where we have Amen Estate, the likes of Amen Estate, then you must develop a self-sufficient estate community where everybody who lives in that community do not have to go out there. They get everything, the services, the utilities provided in that community. They just have to access the expressway and then go to wherever they want to. It will be seen as a country home. You have to put that into your thought of consideration. If you're buying a duplex or investing in a duplex for rental income, for reselling, it has to be within a community that can support that kind of a home, because it entails people who have the money to rent or buy and as well as maintain that house type. Where to build is relative or proportionate to the kind of people who can live in that place. The house you're investing in, that you're building or buying to rent, buying to sell, where do you have it? It also determines the appreciation, the rate of appreciation, and the kind of value you get for rental income. If you have any house type within Lekki, you're sure of getting in millions, right? You're getting looking at over 2 million, 2 million naira and above, even for a studio apartment in Lekki. If you're doing that in Ibeju Lekki, you know it's going to be less. The type of money you're looking at for your cash flow, okay, should also inform your decision on where you want to put your structures. Like I've mentioned, you can have a bungalow anywhere, you can have apartments anywhere, but the finishing you put to these apartments too will depend on the kind of people you're targeting. But for the duplexes, it has to be in a community, within an environment where people who have the money to afford them can enjoy, can live in. If not, you'll just be building something that would not give you value. You'll be missing out or making a big mistake if you just build without considering the people who will live there. It is very important to consider who will live in that location you're building for. So if you must build, you have to factor in what people in that place or that community can afford to pay. The money has to form part of your decision, what you're expecting and what people can pay in that place. And that is why you have clusters of luxury homes within the Lekki axis. You have clusters of luxury homes within Ikeja, Maryland, Victoria Island, Banana Island, and so on, because it is targeted for those who want to or who can afford to pay for that kind of service or that kind of house type. Let's also talk about the money. The money part in this conversation as an investor is that if you're investing in any of the house type, you must look at the turnaround. Which one will pay me faster? Which one can be turned around faster? In terms of rental, you should be looking at two-bedroom apartments, three-bedroom apartments, studio apartments. It's easier to rent out these apartments. It's easier to put them on utility, on use, on frequent use than the larger house types. For an investor, you want to look at minimal. Then if you're considering a one-off investment, then you go for the big house type. Or you see the studio apartment, the mini flats, the apartments, the masonette duplex, they offer you a faster turnaround for your money, a faster return on your investment. In terms of rental value, they are more functional than the big homes. For the bigger homes, it's all about the people who can afford them. But you have more people who can afford the singular units, the mini flats, the apartments, the studio apartments than the duplex. It's easier to maintain and it's also better to spread your risk when you invest in apartments. If you put all your money in a duplex, if anything happens there, you have all of your money there. But if you put your money spread across different projects and apartments, you have different source of income. If one part is not functioning or one investment is not working, you have another that is working. If you don't have people utilizing this space, you have another space that is being utilized. If you have all of them in utilization or in use, if you have all of them in use, then you're good for it. So I hope you find this conversation very interesting, and I know this conversation will help shape the way you think about house types in Nigeria, Lagos, and other parts of the city, and other parts of Nigeria, and how you can invest in them, how you can maximize profit, how you can create wealth from them. I've seen investors who have portfolios across all the house types because they all present the opportunity. There is an opportunity for duplexes, there is an opportunity for multifamily apartments, that is the mini flats, the studio apartments, the condominium. There's an opportunity for bungalows. So you just have to think about which one to use, which one to work with, which one to put your money in. Any of this type will create your money, but you have to be intentional with how and where you make this investment. Now, the good thing is you have me. If you're considering making any of this investment, we have a variety of projects that has always, if you're considering making this investment step, you can count on me. We have varieties of projects that you want to look at. Then on your own, you can also do your findings, find projects that are well positioned and well designed to give you the functionality, to give you the value for the money, to give you better valuation and better appreciation over time. This is Solomon Evarist. Until our next episode, stay well and looking forward to hearing from you. Leave a comment on this video, what you think about this episode, or questions that you have as regards the conversation, or where you want me to discuss more on so that you can have clarity as regards real estate investment. If you enjoy my conversations on real estate investment, please like, share to your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more. Thank you.